You survived what was meant to break you. And this truth is not poetic language. It is an observable fact written into your body, your breath, your posture, and your silence. There were moments when life applied pressure in ways that felt personal, unfair, and relentless. Moments when you questioned not only your direction, but your own worth. Yet here you are, still breathing, still aware, still capable of choosing the next step. Survival is not passive. Survival is an active moment-by-moment decision to remain present when escape feels easier. Most people misunderstand strength. They believe strength is loud, aggressive, visible, but real strength is quiet. It is the ability to stay when everything inside you wants to run. It is the discipline to stand upright internally, even when the external world is collapsing. There were days when waking up already felt like defeat. Your body moved, but your spirit felt heavy. You carried responsibilities while feeling empty. You smiled while your mind was screaming. No one applauded you for those moments. No one saw the internal negotiations you made just to keep going. Yet those were the moments that forged something rare inside you. Pressure reveals structure. Weak structures collapse. Strong structures adapt. You adapted. You learned how to breathe underwater. You learned how to carry pain without letting it poison your actions. This is not accidental. This is earned. What tried to break you did not arrive to destroy you. It arrived to test your foundation. Every challenge asks the same question again and again. Will you abandon yourself or will you stay? And every time you stayed, something inside you aligned. You did not always stay perfect. Sometimes you doubted, sometimes you fell, sometimes you lost direction, but you returned, and returning is the mark of mastery. Falling is human. Refusing to rise is optional. You chose to rise even when you rose slowly, even when you rose without confidence. That still counts. That counts more than dramatic success. Endurance is not about tolerating pain endlessly. Endurance is about learning how to relate to pain without becoming it. At some point, you stopped asking, why is this happening to me, and started asking, what is this teaching me? That shift is subtle, but it changes everything. When suffering becomes instruction instead of punishment, you stop resisting life and start cooperating with it. Resistance drains energy. Cooperation builds power. You learned this through experience, not theory. That is why it is embedded deeply within you now. Look carefully at who you were before the storms and who you are after. You speak less, but your words carry more weight. You react less, but when you act, it is precise. You tolerate less nonsense, not because you are bitter, but because you respect your energy. These are not coincidences. These are the signatures of someone who has been tested and refined. Life stripped away what was unnecessary. Illusions fell apart. Attachments loosened. What remained was essential. Many people break internally long before life defeats them. They allow disappointment to harden into resentment. They allow failure to turn into identity. They allow fear to dictate their posture toward the world. You stood at that edge too, you felt the pull. But something within you refused to collapse. That something is not ego. It is not pride. It is inner alignment. It is the quiet understanding that pain is temporary, but character compounds. You chose character even when no reward was visible. God does not congratulate comfort. Comfort requires no courage. Comfort demands no growth. Comfort keeps you exactly where you are. God congratulates endurance because endurance reshapes the soul. Every silent battle you fought strengthened your internal spine. Every moment you kept going without certainty trained your nervous system to remain calm under pressure. This is a form of intelligence. This is why chaos no longer controls you the way it once did. You have already been through storms that taught you how to anchor yourself. You were not being punished when things slowed down. You were not being ignored when doors stayed closed. You were not forgotten when progress felt invisible. You were being shaped in ways that shortcuts cannot replicate. Some lessons must be lived. not explained. Some strength can only be built through repetition under resistance. Life placed weight on you not to crush you, but to train you, and you adapted to that weight. You learned how to distribute it. You learned where to place your feet internally so you would not fall. Think of how many versions of yourself had to die so this version could exist. Old expectations, old identities, old timelines, old dependency. Letting go is painful because it feels like loss, but often it is liberation disguised as grief. You learn to let go without becoming empty. You learn to release without becoming bitter. That balance is rare. Most people either cling and suffer or detach and hurt. You found the middle path. That is wisdom. There were moments when you felt unseen, unsupported, misunderstood. Moments when you carried responsibility alone. Those moments trained your independence, not the loud independence that rejects help, but the quiet independence that knows it can survive without validation. When approval is removed, essence remains. You discovered who you are without applause. That discovery is priceless. Once you know you can stand alone, relationships become choices instead of necessities. Work becomes expression instead of survival. Life becomes participation instead of resistance. Survival changed your relationship with fear. Fear still appears, but it no longer commands you. You recognize it as a signal, not a ruler. You learn that fear is loud when you are unprepared and quiet when you are grounded. Preparation is internal before it is external. You build that internal preparation through repetition, patience, and humility. You stop demanding guarantees before taking steps. You moved even when clarity was incomplete. That is courage in its purest form. You also learned restraint when life was unfair. You did not become cruel. When you were hurt, you did not turn destructive. You learned how to hold intensity without leaking it onto others. This is emotional discipline. This is leadership of the self. Anyone can react. Few can respond. Reaction is fast and unconscious. Response is slow and deliberate. You trained yourself to respond. That training happened in moments no one saw. Moments when you paused, breathed, and chose differently. What you survived recalibrated your priorities. You no longer chase everything, you choose carefully. You value peace more than noise, depth more than quantity, integrity more than image. These values were not adopted because they sounded good. They were forged through experience. When life strips you down, it teaches you what actually matters. And once you know what matters, distraction loses its power. You may not fully realize it yet, but your nervous system is stronger now. You can sit with discomfort without panicking. You can face uncertainty without collapsing. You can hold space for difficulty without losing yourself. This capacity will serve you in ways you cannot yet imagine. The future will ask more of you, not less, but it will feel different because you are different. You are no longer fragile. In the same way you bend, but you do not break. Surviving did not make you superior, it made you grounded. It humbled you. It softened your judgment of others. You understand now that everyone is carrying something unseen. This understanding did not come from theory. It came from walking through your own darkness. Compassion born from experience is stable. It does not fluctuate with. It becomes part of how you move through the world. When God says congratulations, it is not celebrating the end of hardship. It is acknowledging your transformation. It is recognizing that you did not abandon your values under pressure, that you did not lose your humanity in the process of survival, that you did not allow pain to make you small. You expanded under pressure, you became more than you were, and this expansion cannot be undone. You are not here by accident. You are here because you endured, because you adapted, because you stayed conscious when unconsciousness was tempting, because you chose growth over bitterness again and again. This is why you can stand here now with quiet confidence, not arrogance, not entitlement, just grounded awareness. What is coming next will require this version of you, not the old one. That is why you had to survive what you did, not to prove anything to the world, but to prepare your inner structure. You are no longer the person who asks life for permission. You are the person who meets life with readiness. You survived what was meant to break you. And because of that, you now carry a strength that does not need to announce itself, a strength that does not seek validation, a strength that simply exists, steady and present. This is why today is a congratulation. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are still here, still aligned, still moving forward. And that is enough. Delay is not denial, it is alignment. And this understanding only comes after you have waited long enough for impatience to exhaust itself. At first, delay feels like rejection. For the identity, it feels personal. You look at others moving ahead, receiving what you ask for, achieving what you work toward, and your mind begins to create stories. You wonder if you are unworthy, if you missed your chance, if life skipped your name. These thoughts arise naturally when timing does not match expectation. But expectation is formed by desire, not by wisdom. Wisdom is formed by observation, endurance, and timing. When something does not arrive when you want it, the mind reacts with tension, creates suffering. But delay itself is neutral. It does not carry judgment. It does not carry intention to harm. It is simply space. And space is necessary for structure. If everything you desired arrived immediately, you would never grow into the capacity to hold it. You would receive gifts with hands that cannot carry weight. Life is precise. It gives according to readiness, not according to urgency. You asked for things before you had the internal discipline to sustain them. You wanted outcomes without fully understanding their consequences. This is not failure. This is being human. We often want the reward without realizing the responsibility attached to it. Delay is life protecting both the gift and you. It is alignment happening quietly, invisibly, while you believe nothing is happening at all. There were moments when waiting made you restless. You tried to force progress. You pushed doors that would not open. You overthought. You doubted your path. But every time you tried to rush, you felt resistance. That resistance was not punishment, it was feedback. Life communicates through resistance. When something flows, it is aligned. When it resists, it is not yet time or not yet you. Learning to listen to this language takes maturity. You are learning it now. Alignment is internal before it becomes external. While you were waiting, your character was adjusting. Your patience was being tested. Your ego was being challenged. Your attachment to outcomes was being softened. These changes are subtle, but they are essential. Without them, success would destabilize you. Power without grounding creates chaos. Visibility without inner clarity creates confusion. Influence without restraint creates destruction. Delay ensures balance. You may not see it clearly yet, but you are not the same person who first asked for what you desire. Your motivations have changed. Your reasons have matured. What once came from insecurity now comes from purpose. What once came from comparison now comes from inner direction. This shift matters. Life responds not only to what you want, but to why you want it. Alignment means your desire and your character are now moving in the same direction. Think about how many times you would have misused what you were asking for if it had arrived earlier. Think about the emotional state you were in, the fears you carried, the unhealed patterns, the need for validation. Delay prevented damage you could not see at the time. This is not something the ego likes to hear. But the ego is not meant to lead. The ego wants speed. The soul wants stability. Waiting teaches you how to stand without leaning on outcomes. When nothing happens externally, you are forced to face yourself. You cannot distract yourself with achievement. You cannot hide behind progress. You must sit with uncertainty. This is uncomfortable, but it is powerful. Most people avoid this phase by constantly moving, constantly chasing, constantly consuming. You stayed, you endured the stillness. That stillness refined you. There is a difference between wanting something and being ready for it. Readiness is quiet. It does not announce itself. It feels like calm acceptance rather than desperate urgency. At some point, you stopped begging life and started preparing yourself. That moment changed everything. Preparation is a signal of respect. When you prepare, you tell life you are serious. Not emotional, not impulsive, serious. Delay also teaches trust. Not blind trust, but grounded trust. Trust built on experience. You have seen that rushing often leads to regret. You have seen that forcing outcomes leads to exhaustion. Through repetition, you learn that timing matters more than intensity. This understanding cannot be taught through words alone. It must be lived. You lived it. Alignment often requires things to fall apart first. Old plans dissolve. Old identities no longer fit. Old timelines collapse. This feels like loss, but it is reorganization. Life removes what no longer aligns so something more fitting can emerge. If nothing was delayed, nothing would be questioned. If nothing was questioned, nothing would improve. Delay forces reassessment. It asks you to refine your direction. You may have noticed that during the waiting, your tolerance for chaos decreased. You became more selective. You stopped chasing distractions. You started valuing peace. This is alignment. When your inner world becomes orderly, your outer world follows. But the inner world must come first. Delay gives you time to clean internally before you receive externally. Many people receive what they want and then lose themselves trying to maintain it. You were spared from that. You were given time to develop stability before expansion. Expansion without stability creates collapse. Life is intelligent. It does not build skyscrapers on weak foundations. It reinforces the ground first. You are in that reinforcement phase. At some point, you realize that not everything you desire deserves pursuit. Some desires fade when examined closely. Delay revealed which desires were genuine and which were reactions. This clarity saves years of wasted effort. When the time comes, you will move with precision, not confusion. You will choose with awareness, not impulse. Alignment also means that other elements must come together. Other people must grow. Other circumstances must shift. Other lessons must be completed. You are not the only variable in your life. Delay accounts for complexity beyond your control. This realization humbles the ego. It teaches cooperation instead of control. Control creates tension. Cooperation creates flow. You are not being ignored during the waiting. You are being observed, not judged, but observed. Life watches how you behave when nothing is happening. Do you become bitter? Do you become reckless? Do you abandon your values, or do you remain disciplined, focused, respectful of your process? These moments reveal your true relationship with yourself. You showed consistency that matters. When alignment is complete, things move quickly. What felt stuck for years can change in days. But this speed only happens after preparation. From the outside, it looks sudden. From the inside, it feels earned. You will recognize the moment when resistance disappears. When effort feels lighter, when action feels natural, that is alignment revealing itself. Delay trained you to detach from outcomes while remaining committed to effort. This balance is rare. Most people either detach completely and become passive, or attach excessively and become anxious. You learn the middle path. You act without desperation. You wait without resignation. This internal posture is powerful. You are closer now than you think. Not because time has passed, but because alignment has deepened. You are no longer trying to prove yourself to life. You are meeting life as a participant, not a petitioner. This shift changes how opportunities respond to you. When what you ask for arrives, it will not overwhelm you. It will integrate. It will feel like a continuation, not a disruption. You will recognize it as something that belongs to you, not something you must defend. This sense of belonging only comes through alignment. Delay was not wasted time. It was training. It was refinement. It was correction. It removed what was unnecessary and strengthened what remained. You are now capable of receiving without losing balance. So when you look back, do not regret the waiting, respect it. It was shaping you into someone who can move forward with clarity, restraint, and purpose. Delay did not deny you. It prepared you. And because of that preparation, when the next door opens, you will walk through it calmly, steadily, without fear of collapse. Discipline made you worthy of the next level, not because discipline is harsh, but because discipline is honest. It is the practice of choosing what matters over what feels good in the moment. Most people confuse discipline with punishment. They see it as restriction, as loss, as something imposed from the outside. True discipline is self-respect in action. It is the ability to govern your impulses instead of being governed by them. This is what elevated you when no one was watching. The world celebrates motivation because motivation is loud and inspiring. It creates emotional spikes. It feels powerful. But motivation is temporary. It comes and goes with mood, environment, and energy. Discipline stays. Discipline operates quietly without drama. It does not require excitement. It requires commitment. You learned this through repetition, not theory. You showed up even when you did not feel inspired. You continued even when progress was slow. That consistency built a foundation that motivation alone could never create. When no one was watching, you made small choices that shaped your future. You chose to rest instead of escape. You chose to reflect instead of react. You chose restraint when indulgence was easier. These moments may seem insignificant, but they accumulate. A character is built through accumulation. One disciplined choice rarely changes a life, but thousands of them reshape it completely. You stayed with the process long enough for this accumulation to take effect. Discipline trained your mind to tolerate discomfort without immediately seeking relief. This is critical. Most destructive behaviors are not driven by desire, but by the inability to sit with discomfort. People escape into distractions, addictions, and chaos because they cannot remain still with their own unease. You learned how to remain. You learned how to breathe through discomfort. You learned how to delay gratification without becoming resentful. This ability separates those who grow from those who repeat the same cycles endlessly. You also learned that discipline is not rigid. It is adaptive. It listens, it adjusts, it does not break you, it supports you. When you were exhausted, discipline taught you to rest intentionally, not to quit. When you were overwhelmed, discipline taught you to simplify, not to collapse. This nuance matters. Rigid discipline creates burnout. Intelligent discipline creates sustainability. You develop the intelligent kind. There were many opportunities to choose the easy path, to blame circumstances, to justify stagnation, to say, this is enough and stop pushing inwardly. You could have numbed yourself. You could have distracted yourself. You could have lowered your standards. No one would have stopped you. But you did not. You maintained a quiet contract with yourself. That contract said, I will not betray my potential just to feel comfortable today. This promise became your anchor. Discipline also refined your relationship with time. You stopped rushing. You stopped panicking about being behind. You understood that steady progress compounds. You became less reactive to urgency and more responsive to priority. This shift changed how you moved through your days. You invested your energy more carefully. You protected your focus. Focus is a form of discipline. It is the refusal to scatter yourself across too many things. You learned how to concentrate. While others sought shortcuts, you accepted the long path. While others chased intensity, you chose consistency. This is not glamorous, but it is effective. Shortcuts create fragile success. Consistency creates stable growth. Life rewards stability. It trusts those who can maintain balance under pressure. Discipline proved that you could be trusted with more. You learned to say no. This is a discipline many avoid. Saying no means disappointing others. It means missing out. It means being misunderstood, but it also means protecting your direction. Every no you said preserved energy for a deeper yes. This selective engagement sharpened your path. You stopped leaking energy into things that did not align with your values. This conservation of energy made you stronger without requiring more effort. Discipline also changed how you relate to failure. Instead of dramatizing mistakes, you studied them. Instead of shaming yourself, you corrected yourself. This approach keeps growth sustainable. Self-punishment weakens resolve, self-correction strengthens. You learn to observe your behavior objectively without ego or self-hatred. This level of self-honesty is rare. It allows continuous improvement without emotional collapse. You stop waiting to feel ready. Discipline taught you to act responsibly even when confidence was incomplete. Confidence grows from action, not the other way around. You did not wait for perfect conditions. You worked with what you had. This practicality grounded you. You became reliable to yourself. Reliability builds trust. When you trust yourself, fear loses influence. Discipline also softened your need for external validation. When your standards come from within, applause becomes optional. You stop needing recognition to continue. This independence is freedom. Many people are trapped by the need to be seen. You learn to work in silence. Silence builds strength. Depth attracts opportunities naturally without force. The next level in life does not demand more talent. It demands more responsibility. Discipline is what makes responsibility manageable. Without discipline, responsibility feels heavy and overwhelming. With discipline, it feels structured and clear. You have built the internal systems needed to handle complexity. This is why you're ready to move forward. You may not feel extraordinary, and that is a good sign. Discipline removes the need to feel special. It replaces emotion with function. You do not need to be extraordinary to be effective. You need to be consistent, grounded, and clear. You have become these things. Discipline also aligned your actions with your values. You are no longer split internally. What you believe and what you do are closer. Now this integration reduces inner conflict. When inner conflict decreases, energy increases. You feel more stable, more present, more capable. This stability is attractive to life. It signals readiness. While others waited for life to change, you changed how you showed up to life. This is the core of discipline. It does not wait for circumstances. It works with reality. Reality always wins. Discipline respects this and adapts accordingly. Because of discipline, your progress may look slow from the outside, but it is deep. Deep roots support tall growth. When expansion comes, it will not uproot you. You will not lose yourself. You will not panic. You will adjust calmly. This is what makes you worthy of the next level. Not worthy in a moral sense, worthy in a structural sense. You have built the internal framework required to hold more without breaking. Discipline did not make you rigid. It made you reliable. It did not make you cold. It made you clear. It did not limit you. It prepared you. And preparation is what separates who receive from those who collapse under what they receive. You are ready because you trained when no one was watching.